Something was wrong. I was trying to be intimate with my boyfriend, but his reaction was off. I wore the lace lingerie he'd been begging to see for months, yet he hadn't so much as touched me. The room was dark. I leaned in, breath warm against his ear. "Your surprise," I whispered. "Do you like it?" His breathing hitched, turning ragged. A thrill went through me. It was working. I looped my arms around his neck and kissed him more deeply. But just then, my boyfriend's voice echoed from outside the room. "The lights are on, but nobody's home." I froze. Fire and ice shot through my veins. If Leo was out there, then who was I holding right now? In the pitch black room, I scrambled off him, clutching the front of my lingerie to my chest. "Who are you?" I hissed, eyes wide with terror as I stared at the shadowy figure before me. A moment later, a low, cool voice answered, "Zane." I froze at the name. He was Leo's roommate. I'd glimpsed him a few times when visiting. Aloof, quiet, a man of few words who seemed to keep the world at arm's length. We'd never exchanged more than a brief nod. Shame flooded my face. "What are you doing in Leo's room?" "Borrowing a charger." His answer was simple, but my panic spiked. I was standing here in next to nothing. A man and a woman, alone in a dark room. If Leo walked in now, there would be no explaining this away. Desperate, I grabbed my clothes and phone and dove into the wardrobe. "Don't let Leo see me, please," I begged. Zane was silent for a 2 count, then closed the closet door. At that exact moment, the bedroom door swung open. Leo flipped on the lights, flooding the room with a brilliant glare. "Hey, Zane, what are you doing in my room?" Zane picked up a charger. "Came to borrow this." "Oh," Leo said casually. "By the way, have you seen Raina? She told me she was coming over." "Haven't seen her." Nervous sweat broke out on my back. Today was our 1-year anniversary. Before leaving work, I texted Leo telling him I had a surprise. He was working late, which gave me plenty of time to come over and get ready. My plan had been to offer myself up as his present the moment he walked through the door. I never imagined it would turn into this disaster. "Something's wrong with my PC. Can you take a look?" Leo asked. "Sure." After they left the room, I scrambled out of the closet, threw on my clothes, grabbed my things, and slipped out of the apartment. On the way home, I sent Leo a text. "Hey babe, I'm not feeling well, so I couldn't make it. Sorry, I'll owe you your surprise." He replied instantly. "Are you okay? What's wrong? Want me to come over?" "No, it's fine. I'm already in bed. Get some rest too. Right now, I just wanted to be alone." When I got home, I went straight to the bathroom and drew a hot bath. The warm water melted the tension from my body, offering a rare moment of peace. But the fragmented images of the night kept replaying, uninvited. Zane hadn't responded to me at all. Not when I held him, pressed against him, kissed him. He hadn't crossed a single line, even when I'd taken his hand and he'd done nothing but let out a strained breath. But given our size difference, he could have easily pushed me away. He hadn't moved. He'd simply let me do as I pleased, standing there and taking it. The thought sent my pulse racing, a flush spreading under my skin. Zane's reaction, wasn't it a little strange? Had he known it was me in that room? I quickly shut down that dangerous line of thought. I was the one who'd made the mistake. It would be shameless to try and shift the blame onto him. He had been willing to cover for me, to lead Leo away. I should be grateful. The next morning, Leo arrived at my door with bags full of groceries. "How are you feeling? Any better?" he asked as I emerged from my room. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just tired yesterday. It's getting late. Go get ready. I'll make breakfast." Leo and I worked at the same company. Our office romance had been going on for over a year, and he treated me like a queen. With him around, I barely had to lift a finger. He cooked, did laundry, cleaned. Every holiday, he planned elaborate dates and chose the perfect gifts. When we argued, he was always the first to apologize, never letting me shed a single tear. I'm a slow burn. So at first, I'd approached our relationship with a "let's see how it goes" attitude. But after a year, he had passed every test. That's why I decided last night to take things to the next level. I just never expected it to go so spectacularly wrong. He called me to the table where he'd prepared a lavish spread. "All your favorites. Try them," he said, eyes full of expectation. I nodded, a warmth spreading through my chest. Even though last night had been an accident, a sharp pang of guilt twisted inside me toward him. Halfway through the meal, I couldn't help myself. "So your roommate, Zane, what's he like?" "Zane?" Leo paused for a second. "He's a good guy." "Why?" "It's just, whenever I see him, he seems so cold. I was just curious what he's like when you two hang out. He's a bit of a slow burn himself, and yeah, he can be an ice king. But underneath, he's a good person." "Is he single?" "Never seen a woman come looking for him. He's pretty much a lone wolf, so I'd guess he's single. But a lot of girls at the office have crushes on him." Zane worked at our company too, in a different department. He was incredibly handsome. I'd heard the whispers. "Hey, why so curious about him all of a sudden?" Leo asked. "You haven't fallen for him, have you?" he teased. "No, of course not." Leo laughed. "I'm kidding. I know my girl only has eyes for me. You know it." On Monday, I ran into Zane in the elevator. The awkwardness made me drop my gaze, but knowing we'd see each other often, I forced a tight-lipped smile. Zane showed no reaction, expression cool and unreadable as ever. Fine. The awkwardness was all mine. A wave of people crowded into the elevator, pressing Zane up against my back. He was so close I could feel the warmth rolling off his body, catch his scent. It was a faint, clean, woody fragrance. I didn't know the brand, but it was intoxicating. I'd smelled it that night too, a subtle hint in the darkness, but I'd been too distracted to place it. Now, with his warm breath brushing my neck, every detail of that night rushed back. A deep blush crept up to the tips of my ears. "Get a grip, Raina. It was a mistake. It's over. Why am I still fixated?" Zane seemed to sense my discomfort and shifted, creating a sliver of space. When my floor arrived, I practically fled. I just sat down when a message from Zane popped up. "Are you afraid of me?" I froze, unsure how to respond. We had each other's contact info for work purposes, but barely ever messaged. Our last chat was 2 weeks ago, exchanging work files. Before I could reply, another message came. "You're the one who took advantage of me. Why are you acting like I'm the one who's going to eat you alive?" My face went crimson. "That's not it. You misunderstood. What happened was a total accident. I thought you were Leo. If you're upset, I apologize again. Please, just forget about it. We see each other all the time. I don't want it to be awkward. Can we just pretend nothing ever happened? Please." After what felt like an eternity, he replied, "I was just teasing you. I haven't given it a second thought. You shouldn't either." I breathed out and typed, "Okay." Everything went back to normal. Our company organized a team building trip, a 3-day getaway to a nearby resort town. A few hours later, we arrived. The stunning scenery scenery washed away the fatigue of the long drive. Everyone was in high spirits, snapping photos and breathing in the fresh air. As evening approached, the admin staff organized a barbecue party. During the meal, Leo hovered around me, catering to my every need. Mia, a new intern from our department, was buzzing around him like a fly, acting overly familiar, but Leo mostly ignored her. After a while, Mia drifted away. "Relax, babe. Mia's just a kid. I see her as a little sister. You're not actually jealous, are you?" Leo whispered to me once she was gone. He was good at reading my moods. He'd clocked my silence the moment she'd drifted near. "No, but I'd appreciate it if you kept your distance from her in the future." I was confident in Leo's feelings for me, so even though Mia clearly had a crush on him, I hadn't let it bother me. "Yes, ma'am." After the barbecue, we all headed back to the hotel to rest. We were booked in standard twin rooms. The resort was near the ocean, and the view was breathtaking. After a shower, I called Leo, hoping to go for a moonlit walk on the beach, but the call didn't go through. I knew his room number, so I went to knock, but the person who opened the door was Zane. "Is Leo here?" He went out. "Where?" "Don't know." Zane had just showered, a towel in hand as he dried his wet hair. I didn't want to bother him, so I just nodded and walked away. Leo's phone still wasn't picking up. Where could he have gone this late? I soon had my answer. On my way back to my room, a hotel staffer mentioned there was a performance by the pool in the backyard. I decided to check it out, but as I approached, I saw them. Behind a large pillar, Leo had a woman in his arms, kissing her with a desperate, hungry passion. It was Mia. My feet turned to lead. "Leo, do you like me?" Mia's voice drifted over. "Of course. More than Reina. She can't compare to you. Kissing her is like kissing a block of wood. It does nothing for me." Mia giggled. "You were ignoring me in front of her." I was so mad. "Well, aren't I making it up to you now?" They laughed together, voices thick with intimacy. Mia snuggled into his chest. "What if she finds out?" "Don't worry, she won't. You're that confident? She's naive and easy to fool. You're such a bad boy. If I wasn't, you wouldn't like me." He kissed her again, oblivious to the world around them. I had always believed Leo was the best man in the world, a perfect 100-point boyfriend, the one person who would never, ever betray me. But it was all a lie. Every tender word, every thoughtful gesture, a carefully constructed facade. Tears blurred my vision. I clenched my fists, ready to storm over there and rip them apart. But as I took a step forward, another idea took hold.
A slow smile spread across my face. No. Why should I be the one making a scene while they got to play the victims? I quietly raised my phone and hit record. Their voices came through crystal clear. "I've been lying to her for months," Leo chuckled. Mia wrapped her arms around his neck. "She really thinks you're the perfect boyfriend." "I know." He laughed harder. "She's so easy to fool. Give her flowers, cook a meal once in a while, apologize first during arguments, and she'll think you're Prince Charming." The word stabbed, but I kept recording. And after the company announces the management trainee position, Leo continued, "I'll dump her. Dating someone from my department is bad enough. Dating an intern? That's exciting." Mia smacked his shoulder playfully. "You're terrible. You like terrible." They burst into laughter. Perfect. I had everything. Instead of crying, I quietly walked away. Back in my room, I watched the recording once. Then twice. The heartbreak slowly transformed into something much more useful. Determination. The next morning, everyone gathered in the hotel restaurant for breakfast. Leo walked over carrying a plate piled high with pancakes. "Morning, babe." He kissed my forehead naturally. "If you were any sweeter," I smiled back, "people would get cavities." Several coworkers laughed. Leo looked pleased with himself. Across the room, Mia nearly choked on her coffee. Good. Let her wonder. After breakfast, the company announced a beach volleyball tournament. Departments would compete against each other. The winning team would receive cash prizes and an extra vacation day. Leo immediately volunteered. So did Mia. Our coworkers immediately started teasing. "Oh, dream team. They'll destroy everyone." Leo scratched his head awkwardly. "I guess we'll carry the department." I casually raised my hand. "I'll join too." Leo blinked. You? You don't even like sports." I figured I'd try something new. The teams were shuffled. By pure luck. Or perhaps fate finally deciding to clock in for work. The organizer announced. Team 1, Leo and Reina. Team 2, Zane and Mia. Mia's smile disappeared so fast it deserved an award. Leo forced a grin. "Guess we're together after all." "Looks like it," I replied cheerfully. The matches began. Leo quickly realized something. I wasn't playing badly. I was playing strategically. Every impossible dive? Oops. Every miss save? So sorry. Every spike? Somehow. It landed directly on Leo. Thwack. The volleyball smacked him square in the face. The crowd gasped. "Sorry." I called. The sun got in my eyes. 2 minutes later. Bam. Another volleyball bounced off his forehead. "You okay?" "I'm fine." Then came the grand finale. Leo jumped for a dramatic winning spike. At the exact same moment, I enthusiastically stepped underneath him. He landed. Straight into the sand. Face first. A cloud of sand exploded into the air. The entire beach went silent. Then someone snorted. Another person laughed. Within seconds, half the company was doubled over. Even Zane turned away suspiciously, his shoulders shaking once. Was he laughing? Leo stood up covered head to toe in sand, seaweed dangling from his hair like decorative streamers. I think. One coworker wheezed between laughs, the beach one. Even Mia couldn't keep a straight face. The camera crew filming the company retreat replayed Leo's spectacular faceplant on the giant outdoor screen. 3 times. With slow motion. Someone even added dramatic sound effects. By lunch, everyone had started calling it the legendary sand dive. Leo wanted to disappear into the ocean. I, meanwhile, had never enjoyed volleyball so much in my life. Leo spent the rest of the afternoon trying to laugh off the incident. Come on, guys, he groaned as another coworker replayed his legendary dive. It wasn't that funny. It absolutely was, someone replied between laughs. The slow-motion replay deserves an award. Even the department manager walked by, patted Leo on the shoulder, and said with a grin, excellent commitment to the sand. Meanwhile, Mia looked increasingly irritated. She'd expected to spend the retreat clinging to Leo. Instead, the entire company was teasing him, and every time she tried to sneak over, another coworker dragged him away for another joke or another replay of his spectacular landing. It was almost too easy. That evening, everyone gathered in the conference hall for games and prize drawings. The host suddenly announced, "Before we start, we've got a fun activity." Everyone cheered. The game is called Guess Who Said It. People laughed. We've collected anonymous voice recordings from around the resort today. Your job is to guess who said each line. My fingers brushed against my phone. Interesting. The host continued. Anyone can submit recordings. If yours gets the biggest laugh, you win today's grand prize. A brand new tablet. The room buzzed with excitement. People rushed to submit funny clips of coworkers singing off-key, complaining about mosquitoes, or snoring. I quietly walked over. I have one. The staff member smiled. Perfect. Send it over. A few taps later, Leo's voice recording was safely in the event folder. I returned to my seat without changing expression. The lights dimmed. Recording after recording played. Laughter echoed through the hall. Then the host smiled. And finally, our last submission. The speakers crackled. Leo's unmistakable voice filled the room. I've been lying to her for months. The laughter stopped instantly. Leo froze. She's so easy to fool. Mia's face drained of color. After the company announces the management trainee position, I'll dump her. Complete silence. You could have heard a spoon hit the carpet. Then, every single head slowly turned toward Leo. His confident smile evaporated. And no, he stammered. This isn't. The recording continued mercilessly. Dating an intern? That's exciting. Mia's horrified giggle followed. You're terrible. You like terrible. The recording ended. Silence. The host blinked twice. Well, someone in the back whispered loudly. Dude. Another coworker muttered. So that's why he kept hanging around the intern. The HR manager, who had been smiling all evening, slowly stood. Leo. His voice was calm. My office. Monday morning. Leo's knees nearly gave out. Mia quietly slid her chair farther away from him. Several coworkers followed her example. Within seconds, Leo found himself sitting completely alone. Across the room, Zane looked at me for a brief moment. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He simply lifted his paper cup of juice ever so slightly, as if making the tiniest toast. I calmly lifted mine in return. Neither of us said a word. But somehow, we both agreed the retreat had suddenly become much more entertaining. The atmosphere in the conference hall became so awkward that even the air conditioning seemed to give up. The host cleared his throat. Well, congratulations to the winner of the grand prize. He looked at the submission list. Reina. The room erupted into nervous applause. I smiled pleasantly and walked up to collect the tablet. Thank you. Leo stared at me in disbelief. You. I simply tilted my head. What? You recorded us? You mean the conversation where you admitted to cheating on me and called me easy to fool? His mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. I can explain. I laughed. No, please don't. Whatever story you've prepared can't possibly be funnier than the one everyone just heard. Several coworkers failed to suppress their laughter. Mia shot to her feet. This is all your fault. She pointed at Leo. You told me she was clueless. I said she trusted me. Same thing. Not even close. The two immediately began arguing. So you were planning to dump her after the promotion? You were the one who kept chasing me. You said you loved me. I was multitasking. The room fell silent. Multitasking, someone repeated. A burst of laughter exploded across the hall. Even the general manager pinched the bridge of his nose. Congratulations, Leo. Leo looked up hopefully. On becoming the first employee I've ever heard describe cheating as multitasking. Another wave of laughter swept through the room. Mia realized she'd made herself look just as ridiculous. She grabbed a cushion from a nearby sofa and smacked Leo over the head with it. You jerk. Leo yelped. Stop hitting me. You ruined my reputation. You ruined mine first. Oh, so now it's my fault? They continued bickering all the way out of the conference hall while half the company watched like it was live reality television. Someone even started handing out popcorn from the snack table. I paid for this retreat, one coworker whispered happily. This is the best entertainment we've ever had. By the next morning, news had spread through the entire resort. People from other departments were whispering as Leo walked by. That's him. The multitasking guy. I heard he cheated on his girlfriend with the intern. No. The funniest part is he got exposed by winning a contest. Leo buried his face in his hoodie. Meanwhile, I was enjoying breakfast in peace. Someone pulled out a chair across from me. I looked up. Zane. He placed a cup of coffee in front of me. You left yours at the buffet. Thanks. For a few moments, neither of us spoke. Finally, he glanced toward Leo, who was unsuccessfully trying to hide behind a decorative palm tree. I've never seen anyone lose a relationship, a promotion, and his dignity in under 12 hours. I nearly spat out my coffee laughing. So, I asked, were you always this funny? He looked genuinely puzzled. I wasn't trying to be. That somehow makes it funnier. For the first time since I'd known him, the corners of Zane's mouth lifted into a small, unmistakable smile. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't dazzling. But after seeing him wear the same stoic expression for over a year, it felt like spotting a solar eclipse. Unfortunately for Leo, he happened to look over just in time to see it. His eyes widened. He looked from Zane to me, back to Zane. Then, as if the universe hadn't embarrassed him enough already, he walked straight into the resort's spotless glass door. Thunk. He bounced backward, clutching his forehead. The lobby fell silent for exactly 1 second. Then applause broke out. Someone shouted, "Careful, Leo. The doors are transparent, unlike your excuses." Even Zane let out a quiet chuckle. Leo turned bright red. At that point, there was only one thing left for him to do. He spun around with as much dignity as he could muster, walked confidently in the opposite direction, and promptly stepped ankle-deep into the decorative koi pond. The fish scattered. The lobby exploded with laughter once again. By this point, even the resort staff had stopped pretending to be professional about it. One receptionist leaned over and whispered, "He's doing it on purpose now, right?" "No one can be this consistent by accident," another replied. Leo stood ankle-deep in the koi pond, dripping wet, staring at his reflection like it had personally betrayed him. "This isn't happening," he muttered. A fish slowly swam past his shoe. I almost felt a flicker of sympathy. Almost. Zane, standing beside me, took a calm sip of his coffee. "You should probably get out," he said mildly. Leo pointed at him. Don't talk to me right now." Fair. That single word somehow made it worse. Leo climbed out of the pond, water dripping dramatically from his sleeves, and tried to salvage whatever remained of his pride. "I need a towel." A staff member immediately handed him one. He wrapped it around himself like a defeated emperor. Mia, who had been quietly watching from a distance, finally approached. But instead of comforting him, she paused, looked him up and down, and said, "You smell like fish." Leo closed his eyes. "Please stop talking." She crossed her arms. "You said I was exciting." "I said a lot of things. You said I was better than Reina. That one I stand by emotionally, not legally." I nearly choked. Mia blinked. "What does that even mean?" "It means I'm under extreme stress." She scoffed. "You're unbelievable." And just like that, she turned and walked away again, this time completely done with him. Leo reached out like he wanted to say something, but no words came out. For once, he had run out of lies, excuses, and charisma all at the same time. I took a slow sip of my drink. Peaceful. Zane shifted slightly beside me. "You're enjoying this," he said. "I have no idea what you're talking about." A pause. Then, quieter. "You're smiling." I pressed my lips together. "I might just be appreciating the scenery." His eyes flicked briefly to Leo, now sitting on a lounge chair wrapped in towels like a tragic wet ghost. "Right," Zane said. A beat passed. Then, unexpectedly, "He deserved it." That made me glance at him. "You think so?" "I don't think so," he corrected. "I know so." Something in his tone made it sound less like gossip and more like a verdict. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A message. "Leo, are you coming back to the room? We need to talk." Another message immediately followed. "I made a mistake. I can fix this." I stared at the screen for a moment, then slowly turned it face down on the table. Zane noticed. "You're not going?" I already attended enough of his performances. That earned me the smallest hint of amusement again. Fair. In the distance, Leo tried to stand up too quickly, slipped slightly on the wet tiles, and had to be caught by a passing waiter. The waiter looked him dead in the eye and said, "Sir, please stop moving." Meanwhile, Mia could be seen boarding a shuttle van early. Luggage. Sunglasses. Full exit energy. No goodbye. No hesitation. Just gone. Zane watched her leave, then said quietly, "That was fast." "She learned efficiency from him," I replied. That finally got a real laugh out of him, low, brief, but unmistakably real. For a moment, the chaos of the retreat faded into background noise. Just coffee, ocean breeze, and a man who apparently found disasters funny instead of exhausting. Zane glanced at me again. "So what now?" I tilted my head. "Now?" His gaze held steady. "Yes. After all this." A pause stretched between us. In the distance, Leo shouted something about dignity being just a social construct, before immediately being told by staff to sit down again. I took another sip, then smiled faintly. "Now I think I'm going to enjoy the rest of this vacation." A beat. Zane nodded once. "Good plan." And for the first time since the entire mess began, nobody in my life was lying, cheating, or falling into decorative water features. Which, honestly, already felt like a win. The rest of the day passed suspiciously peacefully, which, after everything, felt almost illegal. By afternoon, the resort had somehow settled into a new ecosystem. Asterisk Leo, officially labeled Wet Incident Man, was being politely avoided by staff. Asterisk Mia had vanished into the early shuttle van like a plot twist that decided it was done with the story. Asterisk, the entire company had split into two groups, those still laughing about yesterday, and those pretending they weren't. I chose peace. Specifically, a shaded lounge chair by the beach, sunglasses on, drink in hand. For exactly 5 minutes. Mind if I sit here? Zane's voice came from beside me. I glanced up. You're asking now? I was told I look intimidating when I don't ask. Who told you that? A receptionist. That alone made me smile. He sat down next to me, leaving a careful distance, not awkward, just intentional. For a while, neither of us spoke. Waves rolled in, steady and unbothered, like they hadn't witnessed emotional collapse, corporate humiliation, and accidental pond diving less than 24 hours ago. Then Zane said, he's still avoiding eye contact with everyone. I followed his gaze. Leo was currently walking across the beach holding a coconut like it was a shield. I think the coconut is for protection, I said. From what? Consequences. Zane hummed softly, like that made perfect sense. Another pause. Then he added, you planned the timing well. I turned slightly. The recording? Yes. I didn't plan the volleyball tournament though. That was worse for him, Zane said. That made me laugh. He looked at me then, properly. Not quick glances. Not accidental moments. Just observing. You're calmer than I expected, he said. Should I be crying on the beach instead? I didn't say that. You implied it. I didn't. A beat. Then, almost reluctantly. I assumed you'd be more upset. I leaned back in the chair. I was. And now? I thought about it. Leo's voice. Mia's laugh. The way everything had been so carefully staged behind my back. Then I thought about the recording playing through that hall. About the silence after. About how quickly truth turned a room full of laughter into a courtroom. I think, I said slowly, I finished being upset yesterday. Zane nodded once, like that answer made sense. Then, quieter, good. That single word landed a little differently than the others. Not casual. Not observational. Something steadier. The wind shifted, warm and salty. I took a sip of my drink. So, I said lightly, are you always this calm, or is it just for special occasions? Zane glanced at me. I'm not calm. You don't look stressed. I just don't show it. That sounds exhausting. It is. That earned him a small pause from me. Then I asked, why didn't you say anything that night? His eyes flicked toward the ocean. You mean, in the room? Yes. A longer pause this time. I didn't know what was happening, he said finally. And by the time I did, it wasn't my situation to interfere with. I tilted my head. So you just closed the closet and chose silence? I chose not to make it worse. That's almost responsible. Almost? I smiled. Debatable. For the first time, his expression shifted slightly, like he was trying not to smile again, and failing just a little. Then, unexpectedly. You were shaking. I blinked. Excuse me? That night, he clarified. In the closet. You were shaking. My fingers paused around my cup. That's very specific memory retention. I noticed details. Clearly. Another beat. Then he added, a little quieter. You don't have to act like it didn't affect you. The air changed slightly. Not heavy. Just real. I looked out at the water instead of him. I'm not acting, I said. I just don't want it to own my entire vacation. A pause. Then Zane nodded. Reasonable. Silence returned, but it wasn't empty anymore. Somewhere down the beach, Leo shouted, if anyone needs me, I'll be emotionally unavailable, before immediately tripping over his own towel. A lifeguard blew a whistle. Sir, please stop announcing things. I exhaled a laugh. Zane did too, quiet, brief. Then, after a moment, he stood up. I'm getting another drink. Want one? I looked up at him. Are you asking politely again? Yes. Good progress. That made his eyes narrow slightly. So is that a yes? I nodded. Yes. He turned to leave, then paused just long enough to say, don't go anywhere dramatic while I'm gone. I raised a brow. I wasn't planning on it. A beat. That's what people who plan dramatic things always say, he replied. And then he walked off toward the bar, leaving me alone with the ocean. And the uncomfortable realization that somehow, this vacation had started as a disaster, and was slowly turning into something else entirely. Leo's serious talk came the next morning. Of course it did, because men like him always believed there was a right time to undo consequences. I spotted him before he even reached the cafe terrace, clean clothes, damp hair still slightly messy like he'd rehearsed regret in the mirror and almost got it right. He saw me and straightened immediately. Reina. I didn't stand. Leo. Zane was already there, same table, same calm posture, same unreadable expression. He didn't look up right away, just set my drink down beside me like it was the most normal thing in the world. Leo's eyes flicked to him for half a second. Then back to me. I need to talk to you. Alone. Zane finally looked up. Not hostile. Just present. That's not happening, he said simply. Leo gave a short laugh, like this was mildly inconvenient, but still manageable. Bro, this is between me and my girlfriend. A pause. The word girlfriend hung there a little too confidently. Zane leaned back slightly. No, he said. It isn't. That was it. No escalation. No performance. Just a quiet correction of reality. Leo blinked. Excuse me. I took a slow sip of my drink. I think you're confused, I said lightly. We broke up. That's not Reina, come on. It was a misunderstanding. I can explain everything. Zane cut in again, calm as ever. You already did. Leo's jaw tightened. You don't even know the full story. Zane looked at him. I heard enough of it through a speaker at a company event. A few nearby guests at the cafe turned their heads instantly. Leo's face flickered. That was taken out of context. Zane tilted his head slightly. So was the part where you called her easy to fool? Silence. Not dramatic silence. The kind where nobody wants to be associated with what's about to happen next. Leo exhaled sharply. You're really enjoying this, huh? Zane didn't react. I'm not involved in your relationship, he said. I'm just correcting your assumption that you still have one. That landed harder than any shouting could have. Leo looked at me now, searching for something familiar. Anger. Hesitation. Doubt. Anything that meant he still had leverage. I gave him nothing. Just a calm look he clearly didn't recognize. That seemed to crack him a little. I made mistakes, he said quickly. Everyone makes mistakes. I can fix it. I just need a chance to. Zane stood up. Not abruptly. Not aggressively. Just like someone deciding the conversation had already reached its conclusion. You're not fixing anything here, he said. Leo scoffed. And you are? What, you think you're some kind of replacement? Zane paused. Then said, very evenly. No. That word again. Simple. Final. Then he added, I think I'm the part of the story where you stop coming back. That shut everything down. Even Leo didn't have a comeback for that one. Zane picked up his cup, looked at me briefly. I'll wait inside. And he walked past Leo without another word. No tension. No victory lap. Just exit. Leo watched him go like he'd just been dismissed from his own life. Then he turned back to me, voice lower now. So that's it? I studied him for a moment. No anger left. No sadness either, really. Just clarity. That's it, I said. He let out a short, disbelieving breath. I didn't think you'd actually choose him over me. I almost laughed. That's the problem, Leo. He frowned. You always thought I was choosing someone. A pause. That I was just waiting to be convinced. His expression changed slightly. Reina. I stood up this time. Not sharply. Just done. You didn't lose me because of her, I said. Or because of Zane. You lost me because you thought I wouldn't notice. That was the part that hit him hardest. Not betrayal. Not exposure. The fact that I had simply seen it. I left him standing there. No scene. No finale speech from him. Just silence and the sound of waves in the distance. Inside the resort lobby, Zane was waiting like he said he would be. When I walked in, he didn't ask what happened. He just looked at me once. You okay? I thought about it. Then nodded. Yes. A pause. Then, quietly. Good. We started walking side by side without needing to decide where. Outside, the ocean kept moving like nothing had ever happened. And for the first time since this entire mess began, nothing was pulling me backward anymore. Zane didn't change after that day. That was the strange part. No sudden confessions. No dramatic, I've liked you all along. No convenient emotional breakdown under moonlight. Just Zane. Steady. Quiet. Consistent in a way that didn't demand anything from me. The resort stay ended the next afternoon. People were still whispering about Leo. He'd become something between a cautionary tale and entertainment, but it all felt distant now, like a story happening in another life. At the airport shuttle, Leo didn't come near me. He didn't try to speak. That somehow was the most honest thing he'd done the entire trip. When the bus doors closed, I finally exhaled properly. Zane sat beside me. Window seat. Hands loosely folded. Same unreadable expression. But this time, there was no chaos around us. Just silence that didn't feel like avoidance anymore. It felt like space. Halfway to the airport, I glanced at him. You always this quiet? I talk when there's something to say. That must save you a lot of energy. A pause. It does. That earned a small laugh from me. Zane looked at me briefly. Not surprised. Just observing. Like he was getting used to the idea that I laughed easily now. At the airport, everything moved too fast. Bags, announcements, people rushing to different lives. Zane walked me to my gate without being asked. When we stopped, there was a natural pause. The kind where most people would say something meaningful or avoid eye contact. Zane did neither. He just said, "You're heading back first?" Yes. He nodded once. I am too. Different terminal. Another pause. I waited for something more. He didn't give it. Instead, he added, "You handled everything well." I blinked slightly. That's your goodbye speech? It's not a speech. What is it then? A beat. Then, honestly. Observation. I shook my head, smiling despite myself. That sounds like you. He seemed to accept that as accurate. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled something out. A small folded paper. He held it out. I took it slowly. What is this? My number, he said. Properly. I looked at him. You already have my contact. I know. Then why? He cut in gently, for the first time showing a hint of hesitation. That one is for work. A pause. Then, quieter. This one isn't. Something shifted in my chest at that. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just real. I unfolded the paper. Neat handwriting. No unnecessary decoration. Just digits and a single line underneath. Text me when you get bored of pretending you're fine. I let out a short laugh. That's your attempt at flirting? It's not an attempt. Then what is it? A pause. An invitation. I looked up at him. Zane wasn't smiling. But he was waiting. Not pushing. Not assuming. Just there. I folded the paper carefully and slipped it into my pocket. I don't get bored easily, I said. That's fine, he replied. Take your time. The announcement for boarding crackled overhead. People started moving. Zane stepped slightly back. No hesitation. No last-minute dramatics. Before I turned away, I looked at him one more time. So that's it? I asked. For now, he said. A pause. Then, almost like an afterthought. I'll see you. Not a promise. Not pressure. Just in his own way. I nodded once. Yeah, I said softly. You probably will. And then I walked toward my gate. Not looking back immediately. Because for the first time, I didn't feel like I was leaving something unfinished. I felt like I was starting something that didn't need to rush to exist. And behind me, Zane didn't call me back. He didn't need to.